Now let's move on to our next set of discussion, which is the era of specialized influencers here? Now, in this era of digital marketing, influencers play a very important role, as we all know that. And it is all more important to make good use of specialized influencers who are specialized in niche areas. Speaking more about specialized influencers, we have been joined by an esteemed panel of experts. So first of all, would like to introduce Ms. Mansi Zaveri, founder and CEO, kidstoppress.com. We have with us Ms. Enaakshi Kotwal, choreographer, influencer, and media professional she is. Mr. Ishan Jindal is with us, who is the founder of Wobb. Ms. Reesha Jain, who is the Vice President, Content Marketing, Sugar Cosmetics. And to chair this session, we have been joined by Ms. Rubeena Singh, Country Manager, Josh. Over to you, Rubeena.
Everyone, thanks for joining us today. And I'm really glad to be talking to such wonderful people on this panel today. And, when I was thinking about, this whole space of influencer marketing, we've all seen it, that there has been a gradual but eminent shift in the way brands go to market. And as the digital economy, becomes larger and larger. And India, as we all know, is a mobile-first ad economy. And COVID has only accelerated the use of social media platforms with an increasing number of people watching it, engaging with it, and sharing content that they like. And this exponential rise in the use of social media has further given rise to this whole influencer-led communities around, common themes, interests, creativity. And given the large population that we have of about 1.3 billion, realizing the potential of these communities for reach, engagement, and conversion is extremely compelling for marketers in this new world. And that's really what we are here to talk about today, that while modern consumers today look at user-generated reviews or one-on-one recommendations, micro-influencers can perfectly fit that spot because of their ability to establish an authentic connection with their audience as real people, real people who have real experiences, real stories, and to which the common man can relate to. And there is an eminent trust that comes from the fact that these people are likely to recommend products that they use based on their own experience, and micro-influencing, therefore, is becoming really, really big. And advertisers are also looking at the ability to run such campaigns effectively while bringing in the right systems, processes, and support that they need. And I think the evolution of the short media platform towards such rapid alignment or delivering the whole ecosystem for their advertiser is a sort of force multiplier on which the micro influencers can now grow and leverage. And jumping straight into this very interesting discussion, I don't want to take more time, but I'm going to start off with you, Mansi, first, wanting to ask you, it's an interesting space that you are in, kids and kids stop press. What got you to get into that space? How did the idea come to you? What was the journey like?
Right. So I've had a marketing and communications background of almost 12 years before I started Kids Stop Press. And honestly, it was a marketer's mind thinking that increasingly 60% of your waking up time is going to be in front of a device. Why are we not communicating to parents in that space? The second one was that there is going to be an upsurge in millennials where you are going to be rooted in your background, but there is also this conversation that's parallelly happening on Google. So in the parenting scenario, it was my mom telling me, feed the baby dal ka pani, Google telling me, give applesauce. So I think we're all as millennials stuck in that space that we don't want to let go of our Indianness, but we want to move forward to adapt positivity and change. So that was the second trigger. And the third and most important was that I think the biggest gap was that everybody was creating or curating for very aspirational journey of your life, which is the youth. And I was like, but the one who's spending the maximum money is the one who's and is at a certain stage in their life is really the 28 to 45 or 24 to 45, and they have the longest consumer life cycle, right? Because once you're a parent, you're always a parent, right? And you're going to be stuck doing and making those decisions for a really long time. So that was one of the reasons why I started Kid Stop Press, and also because there was just a complete gap in the Indian ecosystem to find a trusted source where I could just blindly say, okay, this is what I can do with my kids because this platform recommends, or someone I know who's very relatable, because there is either Bollywood or there is no one, right? Or so literally that, but I know there's an entourage with that Bollywood mother, but there is no entourage with me. So how do I make, so therefore I'm a more relatable mom versus someone else. So how do I get access to what she is saying? Because I trust her more.
I think I picked out some very nice things, and I'm going to come back to you, as we move into a conversation a little deeper, that how do you build trust? How do you trust whether it's Bollywood or whether it's somebody in Google saying something? How do you get it right? And I will come back to you with that. But moving on to you, Enaakshi, you're an influencer now, and how did you think about it? Did you see a trend? Did you have to work hard? Or did it just happen incidentally? You just like started expressing yourself, people started liking it. How did it all happen? Very curious.
So, Rubeena, I come from a mass communication background. I'm a bachelor's of mass media, and I'm a graduate as well as a dance background. I'm a graduate in Kathak. I'm doing Bharatanatyam, and I'm a belly dancer also. So, I was working in the media sector. I worked with various channels and radio stations and everything. And then I had this dance side to me where I was a performer. I was teaching and I was performing. And I was performing on stage. So I used to perform at I performed at some of the very prestigious festivals internationally and nationally. And I had clientele which is from nook and corner of the world, because I'm an Indian classical dancer and they love our art. So I had this huge thing of expressing myself. So I found social media as a way to do so. And when I started, influencer marketing was 3-4 years back. Influencer marketing was coming up, and I honestly studied it since I am a content person. I'm always been a content person. So I said this is a huge platform to express myself on weekly basis or daily basis. And so it initially started with dance. And then I realized that I enjoyed other stuff also, like, for example, fashion. And there was another side to me, which was entertainment, interviewing people, interviewing Bollywood celebrities. And also I wanted to experiment with them also. So I experiment with that area also. So I decided that no, I mainly want to do dance with certain percentage, but since I love fashion also. So I said the certain percentage dedicated to fashion and entertainment. So that's how I came up with this. Is in this area I want to create content, mainly dance, followed by my other interests. So I did a dissection of my own personality and who I can reach out to. Because see, if I enjoy creating my content, then others will enjoy it, will enjoy consuming it. If I do not enjoy what I do, then I won't be able to connect to others. So I think that is the best way. So that's how my entire journey I explained in a nutshell.
Yeah, that's really exciting that you started using medium to express yourself, like you said. But now that there's so many people who are following you, etc., do you feel that there is sort of an that influences you? There is a sort of expectation that people want to see a certain kind of content, a certain piece of content does better. I'm sure you track it as well, and then you feel pressured to do more and more of that rather than how you started with following your heart and just expressing yourselves.
Yes, there has been a lot of change from when I started. Audience has a certain kind of expectation. Only thing I'll say, I've been fortunate. My audience wants me to do what I was originally doing. So that's the good part of it. Like, for example, if I'm a Kathak and a belly dancer, they're expecting me to do out there. And the pressure comes from the part of the trends. So there are certain trends that happen on social media, which you are supposed to do it because they're popular. But somehow I choose to stay away from them if I do not relate to them. Like, I'm okay to stick I feel that my audience also doesn't expect me to do it, because they have that thing in my head that she is a Kathak dancer, she is a Bharatanatyam dancer, so I'm not going to expect her to. They do not expect me to do just any trend. They expect much more from me. So yes, the expectations have changed, but I think since I really focused on what I wanted to put out there, that really helped me and connected with the audience.
And it's a fine balance, right? All the time.
Yes, yes.
As the space is becoming more and more complex.
Yes.
You know,
So I also try to create a fine balance. Sometimes I do a trend, and then I, stick to what I want to do.
Sure. Sure. Thanks for sharing that with us. Ishan, moving on to you next, there's so many reports which say that influencer marketing last year itself was like about 1,000 crore business, pegged to double in the next couple of years. It's become a fairly serious business now. It's not a small business that just a few people are like thinking about it or still dabbling with it. It's become fairly large. So, Ishan, what do you see happening with brands? Are there any observations that you have? How are they looking at this space? What is working for them? What is their expectation? Can you share some of that? Ishan?
Can you hear me now? Is it better?
Can hear you now. Yeah.
Okay, awesome. Like you rightly said, it's become like a serious business for a lot of people, a lot of brands that we're working with. I think 2 years ago, it was very different versus now. So there's something clearly that has happened in the last 2 years. And I feel like that it can kind of be boiled down to creation of an opportunity, which wasn't there 2 years ago. When I say that, today, the time spent by people of all ages on social media has increased significantly, right? So people are actually present on behind those screens a lot more, and of all age groups. That's kind of caught some attention. Okay, if people are present there, why not hit them there? Second, after the COVID, a lot of movement kind of stopped. You can't run banner ads anymore. People are spending more and more time. While you look at the opportunity was created long back ago, or the base started to happen long back ago with internet penetration after geo, smartphone penetration. So, these were very essential criteria, necessary requirements that kind of led you to not fully go digitally and connect with your uh, customers. But those bases were set up at the right time. COVID came in at the right time. And eventually this became all serious, right? COVID did two things. Number one, brands finally understood that you have to go digital because that's where the audience is, and there spurred a lot of digital creators. A lot of people sitting at home started creating content following their passion. So now there's a myriad of creators that are present, right? So there's something or the other uh, present for almost every brand out there. They can reach to the right audience. They're dance, they're into FMCG, they're into fashion, they're into fitness. The opportunity actually was created instantly and was expedited because of COVID. So I think opportunity is one. Second is social validation. A lot of these different brands that are coming up, the new age brands that have dethroned the legacy brands like the Mamaearths of sorts. They fundamentally say it again and again, and a lot of these different brands keep saying it, that influencer marketing is what led us to create the brand, right? So there's a huge social validation that came in, and everybody in this COVID area tried doing small pieces of influencer marketing that they gave them the comfort that, okay, this is something I now understand, or I understand a little bit and I can do it. The third thing that I think is, there's actually this notion that there'll be an ad fatigue that will happen in between 2020, 2021. I think people have kind of become more and more educated over a period of time, where brands were initially like, okay, we should do influencer marketing. Then second, they were like, we should do influencer marketing with people who don't have fake followers. So let's not look followers, let's look at engagement rate as a metric, right? And slowly and steadily people are more educated. They're like, you know what, why should I be doing influencer marketing? Because the other guy already knows that this is paid advertising, and influencers fundamentally are supposed to drive organic advertising. That notion in 2020 to 2022 kind of changed completely, drastically. I don't see a lot of brands today that I work with. We work with close to 1,000 brands right now. None of them have said that, or very rare number of people have said that we want it to look organic. They're like, we want it to be paid, and it should be said very loudly, clearly that it's a paid advertising. The fact that you've gone over it, like it's come and it's gone, right? You don't care about ad fatigue. Influencers are still a great way for you to connect to your relevant audience, create authentic content, and that's good enough for you. You don't have to worry about organic or not being organic, knowing that the end consumer, which is following the influencer, will still continue to follow the influencer now for product discoveries, right? So that amazing shift that has happened from it being a social media platform to now it becoming a product discovery platform, right? Instagram, which is largely where it has come. All of these factors combined have made this business a very serious business. And I think these are some of the ways in which brands are currently thinking that are working with us. The shift from here onwards is very simple. I think everybody's just tried and tested out waters at a small level. Some of the brands have done really well and scaled. The idea would be from here onwards to scale this entire journey, right? Like now every single brand that we're working with right now, they're coming to us and saying that we want to do 1,000 influencers every month. We have brands who we've done 6,000 to 10,000 influencers every week in 2 days, in 3 days. And that's fundamentally possible because of there'll be a lot of players that will kick in, will try and optimize this whole thing like us, which is building technology, enabling you to reach out to many people, manage many people. That's one thing. And I think that streamlining is further going to happen, which will further scale the whole influencer marketing spend in India and abroad. So that's a little bit of my take on this.
I agree. It's. I think the space is evolving, and we get to see. I feel we get to see the scale. It's beginning to take off now, and
Yes.
Let's see how it scales. And Reesha, coming on to you from a brand lens, and we were talking about this a little bit earlier before we started this panel formally. A brand has so many opportunities to choose from. Of course, influencer marketing is a compelling opportunity. But you have other opportunities which may be in traditional media, in digital media, etc. How do you look at influencer marketing? Why do you think it works for brands?
Rubeena, let me actually tell you a little bit about how Sugar started doing influencer marketing. And actually, everything that Mansi said and Ishan said, about this space and how brands have started looking at it, why they delved into it, similar, right? I remember joining in 2019, and at that point in time, Sugar we are still a growth stage brand, right? But it's growing at a very crazy pace. We knew that we needed to get out there in front of people, and we needed to do it in a very authentic manner. In all honesty, right in the mid of 2019, we were doing a few campaigns here and there. We started a very, very proper program, which is probably one of the first nano and micro influencer programs in the country. And a lot of the influencer marketing platforms that were made, we sort of consulted because we were trying to get somebody to help us because we were trying to scale it very quickly. Because scale, ultimately, there are three types. There are three types of people out there who can influence decisions. So there are celebrities which are at the top of the pyramid. Then there are cat A influencers, which have made it very, very big, obviously. This is a very small part of the influencing world as well. And then there are, of course, micro influencers, macro influencers, nano influencers. We understood two things. A, our products will be really useful to people who want to create content with our product. That's like the first line. I mean, forget that they will influence. We genuinely want them to have our products, because we think we were very sure that once you see and use, you'll love our products. So that we really wanted to get out there. That secondly, we knew at that point in time, it was still not the big business it is today. I think the last 2 years, what Ishan was saying is true. It's suddenly become this huge, in fact, one of the biggest industries right now and in the future will be influencing. And these things and these opportunities, this word didn't exist in our lives a little while ago. It's not very new. I remember blogs, hum likhte the in 2008 and stuff in 2007. But influencing is very different. Suddenly giving people a platform where they can all feel like stars. That's a different thing, have your own small world or a big world which can keep growing or not. Where you get to be the star of your own movie or your own life. And that, I think, is a different opportunity. It really it democratized this entire creator network. We knew very well that we needed some amount of authenticity, and that was good enough for us. We did not need to tell people exactly how to use, as long as people were doing it and showing it in their regular way. It is makeup also, thankfully, lends itself beautifully as a category to a lot of people creating content with it, or influencing decisions, simply because we all, when we spot a good lipstick or somebody wearing something, we'll ask each other, where did you get that from? So for me, that industry was really right. And Sugar was very sure that we wanted to have a lot of voices talking about us. Because idea is that once discovery is happening and consistently after that discovery has been made, there is consistently some noise. I don't really need people to buy lipstick, and there's no way that I think that I can influence people to buy lipstick every day or every week, But if they keep looking at my lipstick, at least I'm in their consideration set, which really helps me. We also really had a very clear pathway that Instagram, Facebook, these are the channels which we will use for discovery. YouTube, we will have for both discovery and consideration, because the channel again is a consideration stage channel. So we crafted out a pan audience thing. We have now 7,000 influencers which work with us on our own roles, in a way, like not roles, but we work with them so much. And you have no idea, it is actually very, very, it makes me very happy to say that some of them from 2000 we picked them just because they created great content. We were almost like scouts. We used to sit and watch content every day for 6 months, the whole team. And then we'd be like, ye bahut acha content banate hain. We used to just be fans of all these content creators. We'd go to them, we'd give them our products. Thankfully, they also liked us a lot in Sugar. But now they have 100K, 200K followers, and we still have the best equations with them because we genuinely want them to win. And I think once that brand is genuine, they also believe. So it's a win-win situation. I love working with influencers. I'm a big fan of influencers. I think we didn't have those opportunities, and they do such a great job, and you need a lot of discipline to be a great influencer. You need a lot of talent to be a great influencer. You need to be extremely ballsy to be out there, because there will be a lot of negative comments. It's not a always a very happy platform. It can be, there are lots of bullies around. So we want to be there in the entire life cycle of an influencer. And we are the brand Ishan that really wants to do 1,000 influencers a month, 10,000 influencers for campaigns. It has worked beautifully.
So it's amazing, Reesha, like I didn't know that, sort of not on your roles, but you work so closely with so many influencers directly and over the years. So that means you're seriously investing into the community and in the space, and you think this is really going to scale for you. This is interesting if brands are starting to look at it from that way, and that's how I think the whole space will scale. And coming to you, Mansi, are you doing something similar? Are you using influencer marketing as well? What are your thoughts about it?
So, I have, while I agree with Ishan and Reesha completely, but I also have a counter view to this, which is as we're talking of a different, we're talking of not disregarding that there is a certain demographic, both from age and socioeconomic class perspective, who will not buy everything that is so mass. So if I saw a brand and if I saw a brand being used by 10,000 people, unless there is a very, very strong use case, or I know somebody in my ecosystem has recommended it, I will not reach out to that brand, right? And we're seeing that in the parenting segment. So I'll give you a parallel, when we're working with a lot of, when we work with a lot of influencers, and we work with the brand directly to rope in influencers, we make sure that the profile of the influencer and their content kind of fits into the parenting story or the organic story, or whatever is the brand peg that we want to work. We also work with brands in a very integrated fashion. So example, we did a campaign last year with Lego, and we ensured that when we are recommending influencers, we're not saying, okay, go take, and it works specifically for this brand, that it is premium. We're not saying go take 1,000 people. We're saying which are the influences you're missing in your piece, right? You're not talking about inclusivity. You're not talking about diversity. You're not talking about special needs. So we bring in those filters as well, because I feel for some brands, that sort of filter is very, very important. For us, it's not all about the number game. Like Reesha said, you cultivate people right from 2,000 to a certain to a certain segment. For us also at Kidstop Press, when we've been recommending brands, we will not pick out a brand that does not gel with our brand philosophy. Like today, I'm creating content constantly on, give your kids the best food, or, it should be healthy and it should be natural and not processed. And tomorrow, if I take a pack of cereal and I put it there, like Reesha said, you will get flack for it as well, right? Especially in the parenting and baby care segment, we leave it to discovery. The consideration, consumption, we leave it to the parent, because every parent, every child is so unique, right? It's because sometimes you may have sensitive skin, sometimes you'll have, something else happening, sugar intake itna zyada hai, itna kam hai, because it's at the end of the day, it's children that you're dealing with, right? So I think it is very, very category specific when we work with brands, both from promoting it on Kidstop Press, whether I am talking about it or, we have a whole panel of influencers that we are talking about. We're making sure we're putting those filters into place. And I think that's coming back to the question you asked me on trust, right? If you are going to talk about everything, then you mean nothing to no one, right? It's better to mean something to someone than nothing to everyone, right? So I think in our case, and maybe because we're in a very, very specialized space, it kind of works for us. And within the same brand umbrella, when we worked in the personal care space for babies, we've seen that if a brand has both, so example, hypothetically, if it was sugar has sugar and sugar looks, then, if I'm talking as an influencer about both the products, it may not work so effectively, right? Because then my sort of audience set is going to like, acha dono, because they're connecting with your lifestyle. I think that's very important. When you're picking influencers, you're picking their entire feed. You're not picking that one post. Because suddenly if I talk about, and I've never worn bright shades in my life, and I suddenly wear it, it's got to be talking of a switch or a transformation in my lifestyle, right? So I think when a brand is picking an influencer, or when agencies are picking influencer, you're picking the lifestyle and not a single post. That's the kind of filter we put into our strategies.
Sure. I love what Mansi said, and I think it's so important. Mansi, I agree. In fact, in numbers, to ab aa pa rahe hain because we are able to do this. We've been able to build a team. When we were like in 2019, when we started out with 2 people, it was impossible, right? We used to actually go through every profile. We used to do an audit study for the influencers. Sometimes I really feel influencers could come to us and we could give them strategy of, aapke channel pe ye chalta hai, aapke channel pe ye chalta hai. This is what your audience relates with you.
Reesha, karna chahiye. Like work with Sugar and we'll do a free Insta audit of your account. See?
I think I can do it for other brands and competitors too. Sometimes I keep I'm like, oh God, there is somebody looking at this. But favorite pastime. So I completely agree with you, Mansi. Without that filter, though, it's not strategy. Anybody with that way, it becomes easy. In fact, there are Pepsis of the world, and for me, like the Nikas of the world and the Mintras of the world, with like deeper pockets beyond what. But when you have that filter, and even with the 1,000 ka stage, because we do 5 or 6 campaigns, so there is a skincare launch, there is a lipstick launch, there is a launch for a product which can work for older audience. We also really try and, so sometimes now we have a double strategy. So we have this specialized group of influencers, right? Similar to you, like makeup, then we go to fashion and lifestyle, then we go to all the other niches, which is regional, LGBTQ, men. We have these 5 or 6 different things, interiors, so a lot of food, baking. These are things that people are still talking about and to, So we also have this entire way. So every campaign, when we do the 1,000 influencers, there are 5 or 6 campaigns, and every campaign is actually thought out of, because I don't think without that, there's no strategy. Other than that, 10,000 things happen when we have a very compelling campaign for, say, Women's Day. 10,000, Mansi, nobody sees 10,000. I don't follow those 10,000. So we actually seed it with the 10,000 so that at least some people have watched it with 2 or 3, because that's at max the maximum that they're going to actually see.
Right.
10,000
And adding to what Reesha is saying, I think it's so important for brands when they're picking that they pick from different lifestyles of a person's life, right? And I get a lot of this. That example, we've never at Kitchopus, we've never worked with a makeup brand. I think they assume that the moms don't wear makeup, right? So I think that's an assumption. Or, they're sometimes talking about digital or insurance or whatever, right? And they'll be like, okay, we don't want to, even though it's the father who's buying and significantly, but on Women's Day, you will have a normally stand out, say, okay, I will do a campaign with a woman, but otherwise round the year, they don't even engage with you, right? So you'll also have brands who do these one-offs, and that's such a typical waste of effort.
Sure. So I'm going to bring back the conversation again to, I think, where we started. And, while I agree with both of you, Mansi and Reesha, that, it's important for a brand to obviously understand who they're picking and the kind of influence they're picking, and have some amount of consistency in the work that they do. And they cannot just have these one-odd things which feel good and right, and not have it as part of their core. So that, I think, most brands very conscious about it. And given that it's on social and people are very, very discerning on social, so I think brands don't have a choice. They have become much more conscious. It's not a one-way conversation. And like Reesha said earlier, it's not just that the influencers who get the backlash, even brands get a lot of backlash if they don't do things rightly. So I think that part brands are managing well. But my question more was, around, how do you get that trust, Mansi, which you alluded to, that when you started off, it was about building trust, right? Now you got like these, a bunch of people who are perhaps doing it for monetary reasons, endorsing brands. And then you have a sort of a content platform, which you're saying that, okay, fine, I'm curating this list for you. So what do you think the user is interested in? Why? I mean, ideally, like Ishan also said, that brands are today conscious. They want to put up paid advertising right in front. They don't want to deceive the user. They've evolved from that. In spite of that, users are saying, okay, I want to consume more and more of that content, right? Even if it's paid, and I know it may not be actually how the whole industry started with it, or like what Enaakshi started saying, that I'm a dancer, I started dancing, and that's how I really started off, because I love doing that. So where is that headed?
So one, for us as a platform, we've ensured that there is a fine balance between content and collaboration, right? And content forms 80% of our platform, right? Collaborations are 20%, and therefore we're not a mass sort of platform, right? Because like I said, we're in the parenting space where it's very, very important to be picky and choosy and talk about the right things versus saying, okay, I will give you like, a billion impressions or whatever. Nahi hoga, because I'm dealing with a very, very specialized niche. So that is one. And the second is, we always create content, whether collaboration or content, with 3 pegs, which is use case scenario, which is why will how will it be integrated in a woman's life or in a mother's life. So content should be save, share, and engagement. These are the 3 filters that we actually put in. So even if it is a collaboration, are we sharing use case scenario and integrating the brand in to the consumer's lifestyle on a day-to-day basis? Because that's why they're coming to us as a platform and not going to a celebrity or anyone who also could be talking about the same thing. I think so having that filter and saying, listen, I messed up, was also okay. And leaving it to that, then listen, we're doing our job. This is a paid collaboration. We are leaving we're giving you the discovery. The consideration, consumption is your journey. So we will never even promise that to the brand, and we're not promising that to the parent as well. So I think that works for us. And also saying no and standing by what you believed in. So it's been 13 years. We're not a platform who will say, please post your child's pictures and win. We've communicated our brand philosophies very early on. We will never compromise your child's privacy, right? It's so easy for parenting influencers to take cute pictures and videos of their children and post it for great traction. We've steered away from that, and we ensure that our users steer away from that as well, or saying no to brands that you don't believe in. I think that really has kind of stood out for us to build that trust. And it's a long haul process. It's really a long haul process.
Sure. And actually, I'm going to move to you and ask you, while Mansi shared how she has gone about building trust. I think on the other side, what we see as a trend definitely is that both consumers, and because of consumers, I think brands are also moving towards what is more popular these days, which are influencers. And so it actually, I'm sure you are flooded with a lot of requests with brands and stuff like that. Do you want to share your experience, or what is your view? How should brands tackle this space? I'm sure they give you a lot of brands give you a lot of guidelines how they want to create content, and when they give you their briefs, etc. Do you think this is the right way, or they should give you freedom, or how should they go about doing it? What do they do right and what do they do wrong, and what would your recommendation be to them?
So certain brands give exact instructions, and I think that's fine enough. Like there are certain rules which have to be followed when you're doing an ad or something. So that's pretty fair. But there are certain times when I feel like, for example, there are certain brands which approach you, which want barter, or there are certain hidden things in it, which I feel is not fair, and it's a wastage of an influencer's time also. Like I get so many fashion things internationally, I get so many mails, but there are a lot of hidden things in it. So there is no clarity. There's, I think they need to communicate clearly to the influencer, and there has to be trust and there has to be honesty. You just cannot communicate something to me and there can be a hidden cost in it, or there is no clarity in it. So I feel there should be first honesty and integrity, which is very important, which is coming in with the agency's role. And then I feel that a brand's long-term relationship is very important as far as influencer and brands are concerned. What do they want to achieve? So sometimes sometimes the direct influencer who creates content is not necessarily your exact target audience. Like I'm in the dance space. When I do a class, 100 girls ask me what lip shade you are wearing, or what brand of dress you are wearing, or where did you get your haircut from. So I'm an indirect influencer for you. But I create that aura around. So I think brands need to really understand that as well, because sometimes they just go for direct, somebody who creates a content which is directly associated with them. This is what I have noticed. Now, when I make a dance video and I wear something, so it really matters. People do ask me. So
I think what you're trying to say is they should go a little bit more deeper, peel the skin of the onion a little bit more, get in more layers, and then see how they can.
Yes, what your influencer is, who is he interacting with? So see, I'm interacting if I'm interacting with your target audience, that might not directly come on my profile, but I am interacting with your target audience, so that's how your brand can benefit. Like when I do a workshop and I wear something, I remember I used to I do belly dancing workshops, and I say I wear a harem or I wear a certain kind of a dress. There are people who want that exactly, where did I get it from? So I might not be a direct thing for the brand, but I might impact their product more deeply than an influencer who just creates content on cosmetics.
Sure.
It has what I have experienced in my journey.
So, Enaakshi, I want to ask you a question. Have you encountered experiences where brands ask you to do a certain kind of content, and it's not going to work for your audience, and they still insist that you do it in that particular way? Do you think that happens, or they let you be creative and let it to your creativity, just give you an overall brief and it's left to your creativity?
So
like you said, the mandatories have to be there, the CTAs.
The mandatory has to be there.
So do you think you've been forced to do things and you've had kind of sort of struggles explaining to brands why you may not want to do it in a certain way? And do they give you that choice, or they sometimes just don't agree and they're very, very sort of...
So some of the campaigns are very structured, which is good, and some of the campaigns are not related to the content, I create. For example, if I do not have a pet and you give me something related to a pet, I feel I should not be promoting it, and I do say no.
Yeah.
I do say no to it because it is
Sure.
not, it's not related to my, I know that it will not create a right kind of impact. And I feel it's sometimes better to be honest than, to say that I'll do it.
No, my question is slightly different. Let's say it's something, let's say you were to have a pet and it's a pet brand which comes to you and say, create content for me. Do they like sort of, almost give you a script that this is how we want the content, or they leave it to your creativity to do it the way you like?
Mostly they give you a script.
They give you a script. You think
Yeah,
you think that's the right way, or should they give content creators a bit more freedom?
They should. So it is a balance. Sometimes it works wonderfully, sometimes it doesn't. Sometimes I think if you give content creators a space, it will come out more natural. So, for example, if I make a brand a part of my vlog,
Sure.
I did a vlog recently where I said how my day looks like. So I wear makeup first and then I do a workshop. So if I integrate that in a subtle way, I think that can also have an impact. Like, so if I'm promoting a product and I touch the right chord, you are going to buy the product.
Sure.
So I feel a balance is very important. Yeah.
Absolutely. Ishan, what's your view? One is I know like brands want to work with a lot of influencers. Is it that they don't have access, and because they're working with thousands of influencers, that's why they're giving such like sort of tight scripts and not giving them enough creativity? Because what's going on with the brands? How are they thinking about this? Ishan?
Right. Thanks for that question, Rubeena. Okay, I think, think about it this way. There are influencers who've just become influencers. Okay. Everybody has a different comfort. Want you to, in an absolute ideal world, creators are supposed to create content on their own, bring their own creativity and flavor and all of that. Are all creators able to do that? Perhaps no. And that's where some of the brands come in and help you out and say, you know what, here you go. This is a script, follow the guidelines and you'll be good. You'll be fine. When we are working with different kinds of influencers and brands, we've kind of felt that the need has come not just from the brand side, but also from a lot of influencer side. When you go macro and nano, for them, they're doing it for the first time. For the larger people, they have their own teams that help them with the concept notes, they help them with the con writing of it. So I think the need is, both ways. It's fairly early. Influencers are also new influencers, right? This whole industry and this job has existed for a couple of years. It's not like doctorship that's existed. There are a lot of information online. You can just read and you can be fine. So I think it's some way a help is provided on both sides. Sometimes marketers kind of become slightly more, okay, do this way only because we don't know what you'll end up doing, right? Like that's because of the uncertainty. But I do find a lot of brands are fairly open. If influencers can do a good job on their own, they would prefer that than perhaps fixing to a script. In fact, nobody would like you to read a script, right? Like it just feels so inorganic. 1,000 people reading the same script over and over again, it's not going to benefit anyone at all. So currently it's a balance, right? Like so. I feel somehow the industry is surviving. So we'll kind of let it be this way before the industry becomes mature and educated enough to kind of do it things on their own. And once they do, I think perhaps there'll be more independence given to creators and more comfort that brands will also have sharing that independence. You do what you do because you've been doing it for years. So I guess we are somewhere in the middle path there.
Yeah, and I think we're being hard on ourselves. Like I said, the industry is very new and it's yet to mature. And I guess when we get to those maturity levels, we'll get there. Reesha, a quick one. I know we're running out of time, but I want to pick your brains. Because you work with an army of influencers, and I'm sure not all of them are Cat A and Cat B. They're like micro, nano influencers. What do you think about that space? Which is, and we were at the Josh event last night, and I find that community so vibrant, so upcoming. Because like Mansi also said, each of them are specialized. They do things what they're good at. They may not have like the biggest base, but they have high engagement rates, etc. They're doing it in different languages. They're doing different kind of content, and they're able to express themselves in the way they feel most comfortable without being guided by perhaps strict scripts and stuff like that. What's your experience been working in the with micro and nano
I
influencers?
just told you, Rubeena. I mean, for us, it has been a proper program over 2.5 years that we have sort of built. For me, it's absolutely, I find a lot of joy in working with the Micronano influencer community, because it's actually a community which really wants to create with you as well. After a little while, as you mature in the system, many people are not as open to creating with you, or don't have that kind of time to create the kind of stuff you want to create. Now, to even explain this, brands also have many limitations. Brands also have a certain amount of money. They also are growing. They also pay salaries. Many people, and I think, especially Rubeena, your questions, you are obviously convinced that brands are like are these slave masters which give like these crazy scripts to people. I mean,
My apologies. I was like, when did that happen? Because I was thinking,
I tell you, my experience has been very different. There are 5 out of
Reesha, sorry, I'm going to correct you there. The reason why my question was like, how do you manage the scale? You got to work with 1,000 influencers, and I've also been on the other side.
Scale with the right people and the right tools.
Yeah.
Thankfully, now there are agencies like what Ishan is running. Secondly, you also build expertise yourself, and when you have already over 2.5 years of work is literally 900, 800 days of work, which basically means that there are lists. And I remember when we didn't have tech tools, we used to maintain it on Excel sheets. So you have names, you have how they are working, how their audience is responding to it. A lot of times you work with many people and you realize that, as much as they have like a big base or a small base, their audience is they don't care about us that much, so the percentage of them who are men are 82%, suppose, or 77 or 67%. At that point in time, for the value that the brand will also drive, sometimes brands are also extremely in a position that either I do it or I don't do it at all, right? So we try and work with as many people as we can. We try and work with those people based on what we are doing. So suppose it is a really big thing that we are trying to lead, and it's going to be what we are going to message, what our messaging will be for the next 1 year. Becomes very important to then build up that campaign in a very, very organic manner with 100 voices every month, so that there is consistency in messaging. Similarly, if it's a launch, then it's a done deal. We do it right then and then. It's a team effort. We use amazing tech tools to be able to manage it, to be able to see how we are working. We have weekly crazy analysis and reports. It's very data driven. It's very go inside, understand what's working for the influencer. We recently actually did something very interesting. If you see Shanaaz Gill, there is a reason why people relate with her. It's the way she speaks, it's her, and I've seen many brands go to her with an English script, which she reads out, at times. And it sounds weird. Of course, even when we went to her, this was a paid partnership, because but we asked her to do it her own way. Now, I'm not saying we do it every time. Like Ishan said, you will not believe the number of times. And because we've kind of curated this program, Nano Influencer program, a lot of influencers come to us and they actually said, क्या आप मेरे को reference दे सकते हो? क्या आप मेरे को बता सकते हैं आपको कैसे चाहिए? उनको help होती है. They call us half hours. They talk to us कि मैं ऐसे बनाऊं. They also really want to talk to somebody and collaborate and create stuff, So we actually handhold, because that influencer's journey it's amazing to be a part of their journey. There are a few names that I get emotional about because they go on their stories and talk about sugar, and how much they helped us. So it feels really good to be able to do that, actually, honestly. But with Shanaaz, that video was a success, like a huge success. And she was exactly herself, and which is why it was a success. So if you are doing good content strategy, influencer marketing is just a small part of great content strategy. And good influencer strategy for micro and macro influencers actually means helping them become powerhouses, And then, there will be money, there will be brands, there will be so much. That's for them to decide how they grow. But I think a brand if you can be a part of many journeys, because it is great. Also, like Mansi said, every industry is different. You will have to understand what your industry is like. I work in the makeup industry. It's very easy for me because everybody sitting here is wearing makeup. But not everybody has the same needs sets. This is a product that we are trying to sell. Very different from the way you try and sell media or you try and sell content. That's your business.
I know it's been an interesting conversation. We could have gone on and on, but we're short of time. And, thank you so much, everybody, for making that time to have this conversation. And I really think it was a real discussion and a conversation the way it went. And I truly, personally believe I've learned a lot from all of you, your perspectives. And I also think that, micro-influencing with the way technology is coming, the consumer is evolving, and the micro-influencer economy is coming together, I think is going to be the big trend to watch out in the coming couple of years. So keep your eyes on it, and let's start working together to make a success of it from all sides, from the creator content side, from the agency side, from a brand side, and the platform side, let's come together and make it big. On that note, thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Rubeena. Thank you, everyone.
Everyone. Thank you.
Bye.
So it's wonderful to hear all of you. It was amazing, guys.